Certainly. Here's the entire piece rewritten fully in English, crafted as a long-form, emotionally powerful speech-style article about Tom Sermanni's legacy with the Matildas. Let us take a moment, not just to reflect, but to honour a man who helped redefine what women's football in Australia looks like today. When Tom Sermanni first stepped into the role of national coach, the team didn't have a catchy nickname. They weren't stars. They weren't celebrated. They were simply the female Socceroos, playing on quiet training grounds, with barely a dozen spectators in the stands. There were no packed stadiums. No national headlines. No sellout matches. Just a few young women with a ball, a dream, and one coach who believed in them before the country did. And that coach was Tom Sermanni. His first home match in 1995 was played at the Australian Institute of Sport in Canberra in front of a sparse crowd. No chants, no banners, no buzz, just the sound of boots on grass and belief hanging in the air. Fast forward nearly 30 years, and his final match, this week, saw a record-breaking crowd of 25,125 packed Canberra Stadium. The largest football crowd ever in the ACT. The biggest sporting attendance at the venue in 6 years. That growth didn't happen overnight. It happened brick by brick, person by person, match by match, and Tom Sermanni laid the first stones. As he stepped away for what will likely be his final time in charge of the Matildas, this time as interim coach, he did so with grace and humility, as always. "It's bizarre," he said, looking out across the sea of fans, scarves, and shining faces. "I've never witnessed a crowd like this. I pinch myself when I go out and stand in front of it before the game starts." That crowd wasn't just watching a football match, they were standing inside the dream that Tom helped shape. Sermanni's journey with Australia's women began officially in 1994, leading into the country's first Women's World Cup appearance in 1995. But that was only the beginning. He returned from 2004 to 2012, ushering in the likes of Kerr, Steph, Catley, Foord, and others, names now etched in football history. In total, he coached 138 matches for Australia, earning 74 wins across all his Matildas stints, with more than 30 years in international women's football. He later led the US women's national team, and most recently New Zealand, before stepping in again in 2024 to help guide the Matildas one last time. But it wasn't the wins or caps that defined him. It was the way he built the foundation of women's football in this country. From an unglamorous office in Hackett, Canberra, he and a tiny team ran the entire national women's program. No fame, no fortune, just vision. That vision gave rise to the National Training Centres (NTCs), elite hubs that helped shape the future of the sport. Sermanni called them one of the most valuable things he ever created. And he's right. The NTCs became breeding grounds for some of the best players Australia has ever produced. Sermanni didn't just create players, he built generations. He also championed the establishment of the W League, now A-League Women, the domestic competition that allowed Australia's female footballers to stay home and still grow. Without that league, so many stars would have slipped through the cracks. But every hero faces resistance. In 2014, just 2 years after Sermanni left, the national training centres were shut down. It was a decision that still haunts development in Australian women's football. "You don't notice your development collapsing overnight," Sermanni warned. "But then suddenly, you turn around and say, we've got all these great players, but they're all 30 plus. He saw it coming. And now, we see the cost. Yet even in frustration, Sermanni never stopped believing. Never stopped giving. He came back once more in 2024-25, not for glory, but to steady the ship. To bridge eras. To give new stars their first caps and prepare the way for new head coach Joe Montemurro. And he did it all with the same integrity that's defined his career. As of today, Tom Sermanni is jobless. There are no contracts, no promises, just loose conversations with Football Australia. "We've had some chats," he said. "If there's something, fantastic. If there's not, I'll be happy to walk away and relax. No drama, no demands, just dignity. But make no mistake, this is the end of an era." Tom Sermanni is more than just the longest-serving coach of the Matildas. He is the godfather of Australian women's football. The architect, the trailblazer. When he first arrived, women's football in Australia was an afterthought. Now, it's a national obsession. He gave young girls a dream to chase. He gave coaches a model to emulate. He gave a country a reason to believe. And now, as the stadium lights fade and the final whistle blows, we don't just thank him, we celebrate him. Because while others talked, Tom built. While others doubted, Tom trusted. And while others walked away, Tom stayed. From a silent training ground in Canberra to a roaring stadium of 25,000, this is the journey of a pioneer. A builder. A legend. Thank you, Tom Sermanni. Your legacy will echo in every cheer, every anthem, every goal, and every little girl who now believes football belongs to her too.